We know what Will's playing.
We do, because we've just watched him for an entire round. Jose is on Grixis.
A Reanimator?
Yep. So recent challenges, we've seen Grixis with Emperor of Bones, Persist, Faithless Looting doing very well. Psychic Frog's the main part of that deck as well. So interesting little match. Solitude's going to be very valuable here again.
Like it's a shell I even played with when the Faithless Looting got brought back in, and the Graveyard Hate was incredibly strong.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so here is where main deck Relic of Progenitus is going to smell slightly less, is what I would say.
Yeah, you're going to be really happy. Really happy about doing that.
Yeah, main deck Relics are obviously going to be very valuable. Emperor of Bones on both sides, so we might end up having some complicated situations, shall we say.
But we're all set to go. Jose, I'm guessing, is also 1-0. We have no reason to believe that they're not like some kind of pair up or down because the numbers are even. But yeah, although we have this information from a point of view of like revealing and for streams and stuff, ideally we're not keeping it up. But hey, if you're watching these on the VODs, welcome to the VODs and thank you for being here. Just remember to subscribe if you're on the YouTube channel. And if you like this coverage as well, tag Axion now that you are thankful that we were here, because it's a really, really great thing that they've let us be part of this today.
Snack Bar, Will is not playing with us as Tower. Will is playing with Psychic Frog.
Is that a thing in Esper?
No.
No. Okay.
I think it might just be a shout out of
a
Tron pass.
Oh yes, because Will has a very well known hate of Tron, right?
Well, there's a Phyrexian symbol on the playmat, so we can take from that there are certain proclivities from his play.
Oh, what you playing tonight, Freddie? Or were you playing?
So I think Will won that draw. He is on the play. Artisan Historic. I don't know what that even means.
That is
commons and uncommons?
Uncommons and uncommons historic. Like, that's a really niche format. Interestingly niche. Good luck to you, though.
Does Lightning Bolt count? Because it's a rare on Arena. It's a common uncommon. Is it I
think it goes off magic rarity.
Does it take pauper style legality, where if it was ever common? Yeah.
We had a little community thing with this once, and there was actually it was quite popular. We're on an ad for 2 minutes, just for everyone, for talking about that. We will continue to talk about the gameplay. There's a Thoughtseize into I've got an Earth and 2 Fatal Pushes.
Yeah, not the greatest opening hand ever, but we have an Undercity Sewers to open it up, especially with no one-drop threat from Will. That becomes a lot nicer. Thoughtseize taking a Thoughtseize
tells me Will doesn't want to lose their turn 2 play.
Yeah, and it might also mean that Will only has 1 or 2 good turn 2 plays, or we might see Ophelia, that sort of thing. But nope, just a Surveil land. We're going to play some draw go and stare at each other for a little bit. Will did pop his head in after the end of round 1, and the first thing out of his mouth was, my mana base sucks. And this was every thought I ever had about Esper when I played it as well, where you're playing Plains and Flickerwisp in your Psychic Frog deck.
Yeah.
And you're also now playing Quantum Riddler as well, which, yeah, fair enough. Most of the time you pay 1 blue for it. Sometimes you have to pay 2 blue. And yeah, it can be a little painful sometimes. So Jose taking it slow as well, surveilling again, just deciding what he wants to keep on top. So we do have some cards splayed out on the left. That's just revealed from the Thoughtseize, so to avoid the players having to spend time writing it down. He's being nice, playing with his hand revealed. So Ketramos...
That's good in the spirit.
Yeah, Ketramos is pretty nice on turn 3, when your opponent's got 2 Fatal Pushes and an Unearth and nothing in their graveyard.
Yeah, it's coming out of the gate, but at the same time, you haven't turned the engine on yet, right?
Yeah, it's similar to what we saw in round 1, where Will's just taken some setup turns. We've got the Thoughtseize to garner a little bit of information and clear the way a little bit. Obviously, it's not quite double Thoughtseize, which is normally pretty valuable.
Yeah.
Solitude in hand that I can see for Will. Thought Scour from Jose. Milling another land and a Persist. So nothing just yet. That Unearth is looking pretty dead.
But the payoffs of this deck is, like, incredible, right? Like, the Arcana Cruelty from the graveyard or loads of anything like that. Really good.
yeah, you can kind of fall backwards into killing your opponent. Not necessarily out of nowhere, because they at least see something flash into the graveyard before you persist it. But one persist in the graveyard already, these fatal pushes aren't going to be the greatest in the world, especially with Will knowing about not just the first one, but the second one as well. So knowing that not going to be untapping with Ophelia, that sort of thing. At least not easily. Emperor of Bones, obviously, not very valuable either. So Archon of Cruelty and Oculus into the bin off that Faithless Looting. So we know about the Unearth. We can at least unearth the Oculus. If we see a persist on an Archon to kill the Ketramos, Jose leaving a mana up. So one way that you can play around the Archon's Edict effect is you can flash in something that you want to sacrifice as opposed to sacrificing the Ketramos. But heads up from Jose leaving up the mana, so if Ophelia was flashed in, something like that, he could fatal push it before the Archon ETB resolves. So definitely getting rid of this Ketramos here. Unless Will has two Ophelias.
Possibly.
Which it's possible.
Wow, such a strong card, the Axion, but come on now, Jose, you definitely need the movie poster ones if you're going to be flexing on stream.
Personally, I think those are horrific. But I'm just trying to get a peek at Will's hand. I think there's a Prismatic Ending, there's a Solitude, I think an Emperor of Bones, and one Unknown from what I can see. So the Archon coming back, Will's just deciding what to discard here.
Yeah. Will really transitions into the control deck against this pile from Jose, right? Because ultimately you do run out of resources.
You do that against a lot of decks with this Esper deck. You just end up being the slower deck that can go over the top. So you're essentially playing New Wave Control, where gone are the days of Cryptic Command, Snapcaster Mage, and Celestial Colonnade, and we're now playing Psychic Frog, Fatal Push, and Ophelia. Yeah. Which is fine. It's good just
cards,
different.
Good magic.
Yeah, good cards, good magic. They're nice and interactive. It's not quite as boring as the old Draw Go decks of old. And I'm saying that as a Draw Go player.
You love a bit of Draw Go.
I do. I've played way too many Jace the Mind Sculptors in my day, and even as recently as 2 weeks ago. And that time it went well. Normally it doesn't go well, not going to lie. So 4 mana available for Will. We know he's got a Solitude. Emperor of Bones was the discard off of the Archon. But we also know that Jose has Fatal Pushes available and Unearth. So Unearth on an Oculus here. It would be interesting to see. Yeah, so Will is going to Solitude the Archon. That deals with it pretty consequentially. So that's not going to be able to be persisted again. It's not the same as just killing it. Pretty difficult to kill a 5/5 in Modern nowadays, especially an 8 mana one. Can't really Fatal Push it. But that's dealt with. Jose's life total is nice and high, so I feel like we're going to have... It's either going to be a long game that gets really interactive and really interesting, or Jose is just going to kill Will. These are the two ways this game goes.
Yeah. So it will be... not. Look at the chat. Naya Gates Control is what can be played in...
Yeah, I assume Gatebreaker, Ram, Gates Ablaze.
Yeah, that's a fun sounding format. I wonder if that's like a brew or whether like that's a meta.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Artisan Historic is not something that I really keep my finger on the pulse of.
No, I don't. I don't have my finger on the pulse of Artisan Historic. I've always wondered about Artisan in paper and like how that would go down. But like Pauper's...
It's the same as Pauper, right? Where
Pauper's so strong already. Like, could you even establish a format? You know?
Could the uncommons just break it, maybe?
Yeah.
Could Days be legal in a format with uncommons? Who knows? I want to be able to play with my SpongeBob Daisies. Unban Days in Pauper.
Unban Days, please.
And I'm not playing Legacy, so...
We call the unban of Days.
So it looks like both players are just drawing a whole lot of lands here. Solitude is starting to equalize the life totals a little bit.
Doing work.
Will staring very intently.
What we can do in the direction Will is steering, there is nothing but a Spider-Man poster. So promotion for Command Fest well in full swing. If you are a Command player, don't forget on the 27th and 28th of September, you can go and do Mega Modern. We've just had the set of Riftbound decks appear in the chat.
Shout out Aaron Boyan. Thank you.
Real Riftbound stuff.
We might have to do a video on that, Dave.
We'll have to take a look. You still got them sealed. What a king. That's something.
So, small distraction.
Fine, June a bit.
There is now an abhorrent Oculus on the battlefield. So that one was cast out of hand. Jose had more than enough cards in his graveyard to fuel that.
Really helps Will though as well, right? Will
It can, so it can turn on the catch remote, but I think dealing with an Oculus
is harder.
that's going to be harder unless it.
Yeah.
Exactly what Will needed is a second Solitude dealing with that. Jose going back up to 25, but 2 Solitudes on the board where we have somehow played maybe 7-8 turns of Magic and the life totals are 21 to 19. We've seen spells cast, we've seen about 50 mana spent, and we have got 1 life point difference. But
it's modern Magic, baby. Like this is modern Magic doing modern Magic things, and it's good to see. All them being able to fight for the board, and it's really funny how we talk about a 3-1 not being able to kick it in standard, where as long as it's a 3-1 that does a lot of good things, and
Boggart Trawler being able to exile a graveyard again. Another matchup where it's relevant.
Yeah.
Being able to chew away the Flages in the last round was good. Being able to chew away the graveyard, stopping the Faithless Looting flashback, which we might see from Jose. It looks like he's been drawing a little dead, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of lands on the battlefield. Faithless Looting can dig you really deep. Will's just checking out the graveyard as well. So there is an unearth, but obviously these Solitudes exile. So
yeah.
That's part of the reason why they are so important in this matchup. But another Oculus going to the graveyard off of that Faithless Looting, which we will see unearthed. And Will is back in the same situation. Can't really attack with these Solitudes into an Oculus. Steam Vents being found off that fetch land that had been sitting around for a couple of turns. Oculus making 2/2s, incredibly relevant when your opponent has got a bunch of 3/2s. Psychic Frog is a follow-up as well. That's yet another blocker. So I think what I'd want to see out of Will here is maybe a third Solitude, maybe an Ephemerate and Ophelia, that sort of thing. Opheliaing a Manifest token is one of the bravest things you can do in Magic.
That's true.
Because if it's a spell, goes nowhere. It's fine. If it's a creature, you may have just given your opponent an Archon of Cruelty for free, and that can happen. So Fatal Push is cleaning up the Psychic Frog, and we are manifesting Dread. And I know I'm old because I looked at Oculus and I thought Whisperwood Elemental.
But no.
Because what a card that was. On your end step, you manifest the top card of your library, and then you can manifest even more by sacrificing it. What a card that was. I miss it. I miss when cards like that were playable. But now we have it for 3 mana instead of 5.
So good. Such a good...
It is. I like Oculus as a card. I think people work way too hard to enable it.
Yeah.
Especially in Modern. People like to play Psychic Frog surrounded by 56 bad cards.
Yeah, for sure.
But these Grixis stacks are doing some powerful things. They're where they need to be fully competitive in the Modern format. Will's wandered off. We'll allow it.
I'm speaking to a judge away from the table? No. Yeah. This is a judge call.
Yeah, so just asking a question to a judge away from the table. Will did also say in between rounds that he wonders how many triggers he's going to miss today between all of the different...
do a poll in chat.
Yeah, I think so far we determined it was 2. So Prismatic Ending deals with the Oculus, and yet again it exiles it, and we've just got the Manifest left over. We're just trying to get to grips with his 3-color mana base, which you would think would be really good between Fetch Lands, Surveil Lands, Shock Lands, Verges. You've got a million options, and no one has managed to figure out how exactly to build this and how you can play a basic Plains and Witch Enchanters in a deck with Psychic Frog.
So we'll be very generous to Will. We think he's going to be playing a very long time today. We'll say more than 10, less than 10, just for
across potentially 11 rounds.
So we are we will be transparent and say that we obviously have had 2 already.
Yep.
So,
but as the day goes on, there's going to be a peak in the middle where he's in the flow of playing. He's doing well. He's not going to be missing very many. But then as we get later on into the day, fatigue is a part of these Magic tournaments. It's just reality. If you're on and thinking hard and working hard for hours and hours on end. No one's perfect. I've seen John Finkel make even small mistakes, but after 10 hours of gameplay, there's very, very few players that can stay on for that entire time and never make a mistake.
Yeah. No one's ever making mistakes on purpose really, at the end of the day. And this was obviously for reference. Only a professional rel would video get involved for mistriggers. So although we may see them, obviously the judge can come to us, but we don't proactively go to the judge. So,
so we are playing at Comprel today, not Pro Rel.
Yeah. So anybody, if we don't expect to see anything horrendous, but obviously. And obviously we are pretty close and we will try and catch things if it was that bad. But
yeah, if there's something game breaking, I will come tearing out of the curtain.
But we don't expect it.
Raise my arms in the air and yell stop at the top of my lungs and watch everyone, even the players drafting next to the event today. They'll stop, they'll all stare at me and I'll point at Will and I'll say, I can't believe you've done this.
So to remind ourselves of prizes, basically, this is a £2,500 first place. So for context, then that means some people have paid quite a hefty entry fee as well. Like, you could have on early bird got in for less than 50 quid. But, so if you've joined today, you ideally should have a bit of experience in the game of Magic the Gathering in the modern format.
Yeah, this is not one of your weeklies where you're going to be learning how to play the game on the fly. This is for competitive players and established competitive players in the UK Magic scene, and also in some cases we have some international people in the room today.
We do. Well. We have Sweden. We've seen Aska Vodwenska, who has effectively has 2 RCQ wins under their belt in 2025 at Firestone Games in Cardiff, despite living and being resident in the European Union.
Yes, they're a menace to us, despite not living in the country somehow. Got some German judges. We have judges from all over the place. Axion is one of the TOs that actually has a judge system and supports their judges. We support judges, and I hope that WotC will bring back the judge program in an official capacity.
I would like to say it looks positive. Eventually, as in there's a lot of, they obviously advertising out for someone to be officially involved, and we've seen like the benefit that we've had since having someone officially head of like competitive play trickled into. Yeah,
William Jensen is.
Things are better now. I would say
saving us.
Yeah, so let's get that person in place to do that.
So Will did take that game down. It looked like a combination of Flicker Wisps and Solitudes were enough to chew through all the massive threats.
There are players from Dubai here today. Who docked the snack bar? We'll go find them.
Yeah, we'll go find them. If we have some absolute jet setters, snack bar, if you live in Dubai, please come down for the next one and play. We do have a Command Fest in September, but Axion always are doing Mega Moderns, doing them all over the place.
And maybe you'll find more about the next Mega Modern at the end of this event on the weekend. Stay tuned for that. I think we'll be allowed to tell you on Sunday. The next one is soon, not before Command Fest though. Okay. Command Fest comes first. So Command Fest comes first. Command Fest is in the NEC in Birmingham, so you can fly into Birmingham. You are I believe about a 25-minute Uber. And
Sebastian and Dante. Now, I'm going to say something. Were these the guys that were playing at the RC that they interviewed?
Not sure. We'll find out.
I think there's potential. I think that I saw these guys on RC coverage because they interviewed them. If memory serves, there's a father and son from Dubai that play together and qualified together for the RC.
Yes. I do remember that.
I hope it's them.
Sebastian and Dante.
Side nonna, sorry, that is our UK slang. Quid is a quid is a pound.
Quid is a pound, yeah.
Yeah, so 50 quid is £50.
Yeah. 50
British pounds sterling.
And for everyone internationally who tend to know what the dollar value to their own currency, it's about $70, $75.
Somewhere around
there. So entry today is about $70 American. So
a high price point for sure, but these events don't come around every weekend. We normally get
look, at the end of the day,
3 or 4 a year.
You enter like a poker tournament for $70, and first place is $2,500. Or well, in dollars, it's actually nearer about $3,500. That's a hell of a rate on return. So ads are hitting. Well, for those of you who are missing the ads or have not missed the ads, we are going to figure out a solution for that. We're going to try and run them in between rounds. Just obviously we're on Will's Twitch channel, so we just need him to come and like give us the button, essentially. I don't believe Will can actually run an ad from chat itself. If any mods are hearing this and they know how to do that, then obviously great. I usually run it from a little tab in my collection, but I don't seem to have it for Will. We can get it into it.
Snackbar, thank you for letting us know that those guys are here. We will try and get hold of them. We were having some problems with the floating camera. It looks like too many people are logged into Melee and it doesn't like us. So we'll do what we can. We might be able to run it tomorrow. We might
have it resolved. We might have it resolved. So we'll have it resolved for in between rounds. But if not, that's a disgusting to it one.
Relic is a good opener for Will. Obviously, tapping it isn't going to be the best. This Grixis deck is very good at just putting random crap in its graveyard along with the things that you want to persist and unearth.
We can bin things.
Yeah, so tapping the Relic, not really the best thing ever, but just being able to hold the Relic activation over Jose's head for the rest of the game, that's going to be valuable. So I can see, looks like Solitude in hand, Ophelia, Psychic Frog, Witch Enchanter, and maybe a Prismatic Ending. I'm not too sure, though, because Will is playing with all of the alternate art cards. I think he's testing us as commentators.
Oh, he just loves his bling, right?
He just wants us to suffer, despite being a commentator himself, commentating on Pro Tours, interviewing people, commentating on RCs. He knows what it's like, and he still just wants us to suffer, which is very nice of him. Obviously, we love Will. We stand Will.
But there'd be no booster fun if you didn't have those shots. Let's remember that. No booster fun means...
we all need all of our Magic decks to be completely incomprehensible to an untrained eye. But as long as they look cool and sell well, then who cares?
Who cares, indeed.
So, Psychic Frog on turn 2 for Jose. That's
the best.
Yeah, it's a really nice place to be. An Emperor of Bones probably wouldn't be bad as well. That by itself could deal with this Relic and get it activated. So Relic is target player exiles a card from their graveyard. So the player who is exiling the card chooses. So Jose with, say, 3 cards in graveyard and an Archon of Cruelty.
Yep.
If the Emperor of Bones is targeting the Archon and the Relic is tapped, Jose can just choose to exile a different card.
Sure.
So the activation exiles the graveyard completely. That would work. But we're going to hold it over. So no play for Will on turn 2. There is Ophelia in hand, so we always have something to do. Solitude being evoked, exiling a Flickerwisp. So dealing with that Psychic Frog as much as we can.
Thinking here, it's not double blue though, right? Well, actually, no, we've got a fetch, so...
I think what Jose could be considering is there could be counter magic, there could be a Stern Scolding, something like that. Or we could even just be thinking about discarding a card to the Psychic Frog to place it into the graveyard.
Yeah.
So if there's an Archon of Cruelty stuck in hand, for example, you can just discard it to the Psychic Frog just to discard the card. But obviously, this Relic sitting here is
pretty good.
Is going to be a threat, shall we say. Witch Enchanter entering tapped, obviously... Ophelia played that turn. I think a little bit of just staring at each other again, same as last game. And if anyone doesn't recognize it, the first card in Jose's graveyard is actually Harvester of Misery. So that can, when it enters, it gives other creatures -2/-2. That will sweep away Solitudes, it will sweep away Ophelia before attacks, or an Emperor of Bones, it might be able to catch that without an adapt as well. So I think these decks do sometimes play one. And an Archon off the Surveil land is exactly where we want to be.
You'd love to see that. The drop it in. Thought Scour, just feed.
Thought Scour on the end step. Mills of Faithless Looting and Fatal Push. So we might see this Relic being activated here. Will's been really patient with this Ophelia, and I think it's purely because of the threat of just a persist on an Archon of Cruelty would be devastating.
Yeah, for sure.
So we need to always have that mana available to activate this Relic. There might have been a world where Will could have played the Witch Enchanter untapped and had both available.
So, needing to be careful about both their lines here, and a decision's just been made.
In response to the fetch. So obviously there is a world here where Jose might find another Surveil land, put another Archon in the graveyard and just do it again.
Yep.
That can happen. This deck has... Okay, so we might be out of Surveil lands here. So just finding a Watery Grave.
Yeah, in terms of what you got, we basically got both color Surveil.
Yeah, so
you don't tend to run more than one of each, right?
I've seen decks run 3, but this deck is more tempo-y than full Reanimator. So fetching right away for Will, he's going to continue absolutely adoring his mana base. So it looks like he's got Hallowed Fountain, Witch Blessed Meadow, I think Witch Enchanter is on the flip, and a Plains. I'd be surprised if we don't see at least a Godless Shrine, potentially even a Watery Grave here. It depends what cards are in hand. Sequencing the lands with these Esper decks can be just painful sometimes. You're playing Basic Plains and Witch Enchanter in your Psychic Frog deck. So Watery Grave found. So we do see black mana available. Jose not doing anything with 3 mana.
No.
Ashiok Dream Render.
Oh, that's a nice one. It was the thumbs up.
The thumbs up from Jose. So what you can actually do with Ashiok is by minusing it, you can mill your opponent for 4 and then they exile their graveyard. You can mill yourself.
Yes, you can.
And still exile your opponent's graveyard. So I've played Ashiok in some of my Bloodghast Satoru nonsense, and I was milling myself using it to fuel my own graveyard. We might see that here. Yeah, so Will is just choosing to mill 4.
Maybe nonsense, but really, really fun. Right?
Yeah, it's putting some fuel in there for Overlord of the Belmerk and Emperor of Bones, and I suppose just having fuel for if you want to be tapping a Relic of Progenitus with a Catrimos. So fetch lands are turned off for Jose here, and we're going to be exiling the graveyard every single turn. So if he wants to reanimate something, he needs to do it all in one go. Milling 2 Psychic Frogs is not where we want to be, though.
So Scott, you're in Jose's position. What is your comeback mechanic here? What are you digging for, trying to do, plan it out?
At this point, I want to unearth one of these Psychic Frogs.
So yeah, that doesn't go. That doesn't go because of Ashiok, is it?
Yeah. So slight misstep from Jose. Tried to crack his Scalding Tarn. Didn't realize that he is unable to search his library because of Ashiok. So I think we could see Unearth on a Psychic Frog here. It threatens the Ashiok well enough.
You need to get in a position to get rid of that before you can continue on a game plan.
Yeah,
right?
you need to
Thought Scout.
Just another Thought Scout. So I assume there's a Persist in hand. Hitting an Archon there would have been the ideal. Jose doesn't look happy.
Yeah, that's the face of a man who hasn't got the pieces needed to...
And, even if we saw an Unearth on a Psychic Frog, Will has Philia Solitude in hand. He's going to mill Jose this time, just for some extra cards.
And that goes any potential fuel. And that's the thing, the Psychic Frog goes. We just saw an Emperor Bones go.
Yeah. And, Thoughtseize, it's probably a little bit late for that in this game at this point. But Will just pass in the turn back, waiting for that 5th land, wants to cast a Solitude, but is operating as quite a proficient control deck off the back of Jose not really doing a lot. Philia's a nice one. Looks like Jose doesn't have a Fatal Push.
Because Philia can double reset the Ashiok as well?
It can, yeah. So you can mill your opponent and then reset it with a Philia and then
do it again.
You're getting more cards out.
And this is incredible, the difference in the formats. So, this game plan right now in a standard format would actually not be good.
Yeah, it's the beauty of prison pieces. And in the right amount, you can really get your opponent really quickly, where sometimes there are just cards that completely shut down their entire game plan. Obviously, Jose's small misstep with the fetch land, it is what it is. Not going to be super impactful in this game by the looks.
I think that was really an attempt to thin the deck rather than necessarily needing the mana as well. So
Jose does have the Fatal Push for the Philia, and Thoughtseize is going to see Archon, Oculus. Really? So we can take the Archon and then minus the Ashiok. So
actually, when we think back, it was impactful because if they had the mana with that size of graveyard, they would have been able to cast. They were left with 2 mana instead of 3, so they would have been able to cast the Oculuses with a full graveyard. So Ashiok was the MVP there.
Yeah, Ashiok is certainly done its job in this game. So the Polluted Delta also just dead in hand as well. These Oculuses are not going to be cast. I think Jose's best draw here is probably just a Faithless Looting.
Say so.
Thoughtseize. So Thoughtseize on Will. Sees Emperor of Bones, Fatal Push, Psychic Frog, and a Solitude. So
what are you taking?
it doesn't matter. I think this game is very over, to be honest.
Yeah, sure.
Will can just untap, play a Bone Man. If he wants to get back a Baelmerk, he can. You can also just play a Psychic Frog. So Will is constrained on black mana at this point. So we can only play one of these black cards. I think even if Will draws a land, I think I want to go and get a black source and just play out the Emperor of Bones and Psychic Frog and get this game over with. You know, Jose's not doing anything. You've got the Ashiok sitting there. It's still got some counters on it. You can just kind of send this and try and get the game over with.
I think so.
So Psychic Frog being cast.
A grin from Jose.
Yeah, the old Thoughtseize bug, where the Thoughtseize takes away that Psychic Frog and Will just rips another one straight off the top.
Is Will just ripping almost all of his hand here to just... Because what is Jose going to be able to do?
That was an unearth off the top, so we can probably see that cycled, because it's not going to be active. Is that another Oculus?
I'm not sure.
I think that might have been
didn't get too much of a peek.
So Ashiok is out of counters now, so we're going to stop exiling the graveyard every single turn, but drawing extra cards off Frog. Yeah, we found the Flooded Strand, so now we have an extra black source, and we have this Solitude available as well. So even if Jose was to achieve the dream here of Faithless Looting into Persist, cycling another on it. Oh, he's got the look on his face that he's not happy. We drew a basic island, so we're insulated against Blood Moon now, I guess. But yeah, I think this is fairly academic at this point.
I think so. I think this is pretty much it. Pretty much just heading towards 2-0.
Yeah, I assume a shadowy backstreet being fetched by Will here. Just no need to spend his mana. You can just sit here.
Oh, having a little bit of a fumble.
I don't know what that is. Is that an Undercity Sewers?
Yeah, that's Undercity Sewers.
I didn't recognize the alt art, so it looks like Will does actually play 3 Surveil lands. So after your comment earlier of people only playing 2, Will indeed is playing 3. Going to be drawing 2 cards every turn with this Psychic Frog. Another land, so we can play out the Emperor of Bones. This can pick up probably an Overlord, which isn't quite lethal this turn, but we're going to get mightily close, and Will is going to be able to...
I don't think there's any like sweepers or anything on Jose's side.
No, I don't. I think
in the list we've seen anyway.
Yeah, it's up with that.
So Will is actually going to pick up Felia and potentially reset this Ashiok just to make sure it doesn't die to like a lightning bolt, maybe something like that out of the sideboard if Jose had something to deal with. So 3 damage, draw a card off Psychic Frog. We still have Solitude ready. We've got Fatal Push sitting in hand and 2 more cards that I can't see, but Jose's down to 8.
Yeah, down to 8, and
it's not looking good. You can't activate the Ashiok because it does come back on the end step, and Felia goes to exile. We'll see what Jose can draw, slumping down onto his hand.
That's you have to just I don't know, maybe like take your poison if you're Jose with this one.
He's just drawn the wrong cards in the wrong order, and his opponent played an Ashiok. It is what it is.
They haven't played badly. I think that's something which we'll
No, absolutely not. And sometimes there were games that you were never ever going to win, and that's just part of Magic. It is what it is.
Yeah, sure.
So we'll see if Jose can chain Faithless Looting, Persist, and Archon. The shields aren't down because Will does have 2 mana available, but I'd assume this is just a Felia, that sort of thing. But Persisting and Archon might be able to get us somewhere. So I think that's what we need to see here is a Faithless Looting or a Thought Scour and just hitting the absolute nuts. Thoughtseize, letting us on commentary see Will's hand. So an Ephemerate and a Solitude and a Fatal Push. So
wow.
Will just sitting there with all the interaction in the world. Solitude gets taken and Jose scoops him up and says, good game. I had a million Oculus and no graveyard, nowhere to go.